It's by-election day today as voting was held in Tano Electoral Constituency 1, Bara 2 and Chitwan 2. We have received reports of enthusiastic participation of voters who exercised their franchise from early morning in all the 3 electoral constituencies. Apart from some sporadic incidents of untoward incidents, voting has been largely peaceful. The security has also been beefed up in all the 3 constituencies to provide top-notch security, while the voting has been conducted in a free and fair atmosphere. Good evening, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. Voting under the by-election of the House of Representatives held in Tano 1, Chitwan 2 and Bara 2, voting conducted largely peacefully. Vote counting after 8 p.m. later tonight. The Election Commission demands clarification from Madhya Province Chief Minister Yadav for violating the Election Code of Conduct. Clarification also asked from Nepali Congress candidate in Tano 1, Govinda Bhattrai. The U.S. military evacuates American government personnel from Khartoum, where fighting rages between Sudan's rival commanders. Diplomatic personnel from other countries also rescued. And UAE tamed Singapore at the ACC Men's Premier Cup. Mohammad Wasim and Ritya Arvind score hundreds in mammoth win. Jitender Singh scores a century as Oman thrash Malaysia. Voting under the by-election of the House of Representatives in Tanohu Electoral Constituency 1, Chitwan Electoral Constituency 2 and Bara Electoral Constituency 2 is reaching its conclusion. Voting was scheduled from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the 3 constituencies today. Arrangements were made for voters with disabilities, senior citizens, expecting mothers, among others, so that they didn't have to stay in line to vote. Security was beefed up at all the voting centers as voters had to go through security check before casting their vote. Tents were set up at the voting centers to give some respite to the voters from the scorching heat. Meanwhile, 4 people were arrested in Bara for creating disturbance at a voting center. Likewise, voting was halted due to dispute at Chitwan's Naya Kiran Kamal Kusum Secondary School voting center in Bharatpur 11 due to some dispute, while the voting had resumed after 3 p.m. The Election Commission has demanded clarification from Chief Minister of Madhya Province Saroj Kumar Yadav for violating the Election Code of Conduct. Yadav has been given 24 hours to furnish a clarification. According to the official notice issued by the Commission, Yadav had reached Panchrota municipality where voting was being held, which violated the Election Code of Conduct that intends to make voting free and fair. The Commission has directed Yadav to justify his trip to the voting station. The Election Commission has also demanded clarification from Nepali Congress candidate in Tano 1, Govinda Bhattrai. The Commission's District Election Code of Conduct Monitoring Committee Tanohu has said Bhattrai had reached out to the voters using voice message and urged to vote for him during the silence period. The Election Commission has said vote counting will begin from 8 p.m. today itself. The ballot boxes are being collected after the conclusion of the voting. This will be followed by an all-party meeting to pave way for the vote counting. Chief Election Commissioner Dinesh Thapaliya has said the Commission has directed election officers of all the constituencies to begin vote counting by 8 p.m. Thapaliya added that vote counting will be done from 10 places in all constituencies, so the results can be declared by Tuesday. We now have our colleague Amar Singh Pradhan with some updates on the by-election.
Good evening, all the esteemed viewers. I'm here with some live updates of the by-elections that was held today. As my colleague was reporting that the by-elections today is reaching its concluding phase, as although the Election Commission had slated this time period of 7 a.m. in the morning till 5 p.m. in the evening, like there has been some late hour losses to conclude the voting process. There was some enthusiastic participation since early morning in the 3 electoral constituencies, which actually augurs very well for the parliamentary practices and the democracy in the country. But when we contacted the Election Commission Office. The Election Commission Office has said that there has been reportedly less percentage of voters turnout this time around compared to the November 20th parliamentary elections. In Chitwan, the voters turnout in Chitwan was around about 65% during the November 20th election, whereas this time around there is a slight downfall in that voters turnout in Chitwan. Likewise, in Tanahu constituency 1, the voters turnout was over 45%, about 54% white. This time around there is a slight downfall, about 52%. Likewise, in Bara constituency 2, the voters turnout last time was about 64%, while this time it's 61%. So that means it's slightly, not significant, but slightly there has been a slight voter turnout less this time around. But overall, we have to say that this is a very enthusiastic participation. There has not been many cases of violence or any untoward incidents. So we have to say, we can say that this is a very successful conclusion of second round of by-election, the by-elections. And let me move on to some live updates of the by-elections. Let me first of all go to Bara constituency 2. There is a significant interest generated by election this time, and there are some political heavyweights and some renowned figures contesting from Bara election constituency 2. We have CPN-UML candidate Purushottam Paudel, a former minister. Likewise, we have Sivachandra Prasad Kuswa representing Janmat Party. The alliance candidate Janta Samajwadi Party chair Upendra Yadav contesting from Bara constituency 2. So they are the big heavyweights as far as Bara election constituency 2 is concerned. I'd like to remind our viewers that Sivachandra Kuswa, who is contesting the by-election this time around, he actually represented Maoist Center. He was a CPN Maoist candidate, and he had garnered 13,468 votes, and he was defeated by the incumbent Vice President Ramsaheb Prasad Yadav by just about 300 odd votes. Actually, it turned out that Ramsaheb Prasad Yadav, Janta Samajwadi Party candidate, his election his inauguration rather as the Vice President of the country, the third Vice President of the country, was to pave way for the Janta Samajwadi Party chair Upendra Yadav safe passage to the parliament. But as Sivachandra Kuswa, as he was not able to garner the ticket from the alliance side, so he parted his ways with the CPN Maoist, and then he joined hands with the Janmat Party. And as our viewers are also very well aware of this fact that Janmat Party is kind of getting popularity. It is gaining popularity in Madhya province, and so CPN Maoist Center, Sivachandra Prasad Kuswa, this time he has joined hands with Janmat Party, and he is contesting as a Janmat Party lawmaker. And another interesting scenario here is the independent candidates, the two independent candidates during the November 20th elections. Ramkishore Prasad Yadav, he garnered 11,043 votes, and Rabindra Prasad Yadav 10,750 votes. And both these independent candidates, despite garnering a significant number of votes, both are not contesting this time around. So that talks about some kind of inside politics that goes on into Madhya province. So we can understand that the political parties like Janmat Party and Janta Samajwadi Party, basically these two parties, they have tried to cash on the popularity of these two candidates, and whoever wins the confidence of the voters who had voted for these two candidates are likely to clinch the battle in Bara constituency 2. And let's move on to Chitwan constituency 2. Chitwan happens to be the toast of this by-elections because of the candidacy of a lot of attention has been grabbed, a lot of attention has been shifted to the candidacy of Ravi Lamichhane, the Rashtriya Swatantra Party chairperson or the president. Ravi Lamichhane, his election, previously his election from the November 20th election, he happened to garner some 49,000 odd votes, and then he defeated the second, his nearest rival, Umesh Shrestha, by about 30,000 odd votes. And so this is one of the biggest margin of victory that was registered during the November 20th elections, the parliamentary elections. And so this time around, so what we see here is the contestant who is likely to give a tough fight to Ravi Lamichhane is the alliance candidate Jitnaran Shrestha. Jitnaran Shrestha happens to be the district president of Chitwan, somebody who is very much mixed up with the people of Chitwan, and he is expected to give a very tough fight to Ravi Lamichhane this time around. And as I mentioned, Ravi Lamichhane garnered about 49,000 votes last time around, and this last 5 months, Ravi Lamichhane went on to become a lawmaker, he went on to become the home minister, he went on to become the deputy prime minister, and then this controversy regarding his citizenship saw that his lawmaker position was annulled. And finally, he had to contest the by-elections yet again. And so these 5 months, this could also be a test for Ravi Lamichhane regarding his popularity. His popularity has gone up, or whether his popularity has gone down will be determined by the number of votes he garners this time around from Chitwan constituency 2. And from Chitwan, let's move on to Tanahu constituency 1. In Tanahu constituency 1, we have alliance candidate. All alliance candidates this time are heavyweight candidates because presently we are going through this alliance politics, and alliance candidates are likely to do very well. We have Govinda Bhattarai, a very popular Nepali Congress candidate, and Tanahu 1 also happens to be a stronghold or bastion of Nepali Congress, as we say in Nepali politics. If we look at the past election, November 20th elections, Nepali Congress candidate, the present President Ramchandra Paudel, was elected from Tanahu constituency 1. He had garnered 25,361 votes, and his nearest rival was Ek Bahadur Rana Maga with 19,981 votes. That means around about 6,000 votes. Now, another interesting twist to November 20th election was the candidacy of Govindaraj Joshi, who was a rebel candidate at the time, Nepali Congress rebel candidate, and he has garnered 6,886 votes. And Nepali Congress very cleverly in the run-up to the by-elections, he was early, because he was a rebel candidate, some kind of action was taken against Govindaraj Joshi, but in the run-up to the by-election, the action was revoked. That was to please the faction that Govindaraj Joshi has a hold on, so that the people who voted for Govindaraj Joshi this time will vote for another alliance candidate, Govinda Bhattarai. Apart from that, we have another, all the enthusiasm, this interest is also garnered by the fact that the economist, the intellectual, Dr. Swarnim Wagle represents Rashtriya Swatantra Party, and he is contesting from Tanahu 1. And Swarnim Wagle is, because he is a Rashtriya Swatantra Party candidate, there has been a vote swing as we saw during the November 20th elections, and there is a kind of a vote swing in favor of Rashtriya Swatantra Party, so that because of that he is likely to do well, Swarnim Wagle. And because Swarnim Wagle actually he belonged to Nepali Congress, he parted his ways with Nepali Congress, and because he has joined hand with Rashtriya Swatantra Party, that is also likely to come in favor of Swarnim Wagle. He has some file and ranks in the Nepali Congress Party. So people in Nepali Congress, because everything is fair in love, war and politics, might vote for him. And CPN UML candidate here, Sarmendra Khanal, maybe he's a slightly weaker candidate. And CPN UML, because it's a very clever party, some kind of game CPN UML might also play. CPN UML would, as the main opposition, would not want to we wouldn't want to see that Nepali Congress candidate wins or takes Tanohu 1. And in the last election, there were 19,000 votes that CPN-UML had garnered. And if that vote goes to Dr. Swarnim Wagle, nothing can be said from Tanohu 1. And this is what I have for you in our election update. Thank you. Over to you over there.
Thank you, Amar. That was our colleague Amar Singh Pradhan giving us some updates on the by-election. Members of the trade union have expressed grievances against the government, saying that a draft of the Civil Service Act was being tabled at the Parliament without consultation with the unions. They have said the bill proposes the scrapping of trade unions. They have demanded for a detailed discussion on the draft bill ahead of its tabling at the Parliament. Members of various associations and trade unions had, in the previous session of the Parliament, expressed dissatisfaction over the bill that was tabled and then withdrawn. They have also warned of phase-wise protest if the government moves ahead with the bill and have demanded the government publish the draft bill first. They have said they will inform ministers for State Affairs and General Administration, Law, Finance, and the Prime Minister of their demands through various mediums. And it's time now for the international update. U.S. President Joe Biden yesterday said the U.S. military evacuated American government personnel from Khartoum, adding that Washington is suspending operations at its embassy there as fighting between Sudan's rival commanders continued. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement that all U.S. personnel and their dependents have been safely evacuated and that the U.S. will continue to assist Americans in Sudan in planning for their own safety. U.S. officials said all U.S. government personnel and a small number of diplomatic personnel from other countries were evacuated in the operation, which removed fewer than 100 people. U.S. military officials said just over 100 U.S. Special Operations Forces were involved in the evacuation, entering and exiting Sudan without being fired upon by the warring factions on the ground. Other foreign nationals began evacuating from a Red Sea port in Sudan. The bloody onslaught of urban warfare has trapped large numbers in the Sudanese capital, disabling the airport and rendering some roads impassable. With the airport closed and skies unsafe, thousands of foreigners, including embassy staff, aid workers, and students in Khartoum and elsewhere in Africa's third largest country, have also been unable to get out. Saudi Arabia has evacuated Gulf citizens from Port Sudan on the Red Sea, 650 kilometers from Khartoum. Jordan will use the same route for its nationals.
Sports news.
Oman tamed Malaysia by 8 wickets in a Group A match under the ACC Men's Premier Cup. Sent in to bat first at Mulpani Cricket Ground, Malaysia posted a below-par total of 227 runs for the loss of 9 wickets off their stipulated 50 overs. Opener Virandeep Singh top scored for Malaysia with a well-compiled 94 runs. The other opener, Muhammad Amir, scored 20 runs, while only other notable contribution came from Shahadat, who contributed 55 runs. Jishan Maqsood was the most successful bowler with 4 wickets. In reply, Oman reached the target in the 42nd over as the two openers, Kashyap Prajapati and Jatinder Singh, added 123 runs for the opening wicket partnership. Prajapati departed after scoring 66 runs, while Jatinder Singh remained unbeaten on 101 runs. Jatinder was also supported by Jishan Maqsood, who scored an unbeaten 52. Mohammad Wasim and Ritya Arvind blasted explosive centuries as UAE crushed Singapore by 201 runs in a Group B match under the ACC Premier Cup. Electing to bat first at TU Cricket Ground, Mohammad Wasim was in a punishing mood as he blasted 160 runs off 82 balls that included 9 fours and 16 sixes. Wasim added 246 runs for the second wicket with Ritya Arvind, who scored 174 runs that included 17 fours and 7 sixes. And that's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television for the updates on the by-election. Have a good evening.